In a truly shocking and disturbing move, the Texas Attorney General is demanding that the state's health department release a list of all transgender people in the state by asking for a list of those who have requested changing their sex on documents. This has sparked outrage among not only the LGBT community, but also their allies, people like me, who see it as a blatant attack on the rights and the privacy of trans individuals. The Washington Post has a report. Texas AG's office sought state data on trans Texans. Employees at the Texas Department of Public Safety in June received a sweeping request from Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton's office. Compile a list of individuals who changed their gender on their Texas driver's license and other department records during the past 2 years. Now, why does the AG claim they need this? They say we need this list to defend a state law that requires people to use bathrooms that correspond with the gender on their birth certificate. But it's very obvious what this is. This is a thinly veiled attempt to start generating a list which could be used to target, it could be used to harass trans people. The Attorney General is using this pretext of we've got to defend law and order in order to gather information, personal information about trans people in the state. Now, I don't want to be hyperbolic or dystopian here, but we should understand history. And the right loves to talk about camps. They say Obama is going to put you in a FEMA camp. Obama. Or, you know, they talk about camps. They're obsessed with camps and rounding people up and all of that. We should understand, and I'm not saying that's the direction this is going in Texas, but we should just understand historically what have been the steps that are taken before actually putting people in camps or overtly starting violent actions against groups of people. Like, if that's what you were planning to do, what would be on the list of things that we would want to watch out for? And this is where history is actually very important to understand. Historically, what you see in the lead up to an attempt to go after a population, whether it's for discrimination or enslavement or genocide or whatever, right? It's a big spectrum of what one might plan to do. Here are some of the steps, and you don't always see all of these. Incitement of hatred and violence against a group. So this can include using propaganda to make people angry at that group. Look at what the right has been doing when it comes to trans people and trans sports and bathrooms and so-called predators and pedophiles for years now. Okay, so use propaganda and other tactics to demonize, dehumanize, and direct anger so that hostility goes up and willingness to do violence goes up against a particular group of people. That's happening with trans people, no doubt about it. Economic and social discrimination. So the targeted group might be denied access to something. Could be education, could be employment, could be some other resource. This leads to being economically marginalized and socially marginalized. Another aspect to watch out for. You sometimes will see political and legal discrimination. The targeted group might be denied some right. Could be the right to vote. That's not happening with trans people. Could be to hold public office. Could be just basic rights that would typically be protected under the law. You could argue that in some ways, the right is arguing for that by saying, well, sexual orientation or gender identity should not be a protected class. They don't want it to be. That's another aspect. And then as things escalate, you might see systematic violence against a group. The targeted group could be subjected to physical violence and verbal abuse that is considered acceptable in society. And of course, in crazy, when things in instances in history that really get bad, you're talking about rape, torture, and other forms of brutality. There could be forced displacement where the targeted group is removed from their homes or communities, either through direct violence or through policies and practices that make it impossible for them to remain. So the big examples, of course, you've got the Holocaust, you had forced displacement, you had legal discrimination, systematic violence. The Armenian genocide, another example, incitement of hatred and violence through propaganda, economic and social discrimination, political and legal discrimination, systematic violence, forced displacement. And I think another example that would be at the top of the list is the Rwandan genocide. Incitement of hatred and violence through propaganda, absolutely economic and social discrimination, political and legal discrimination, systematic violence, forced displacement. So we're not saying that's the plan of these right-wingers with trans people if they got their way. But when you start asking for lists, any sensible person is going to say, that's a red flag. And the reason they're citing they need that list is simply not believable. Really scary stuff happening in Texas. Plastic is everywhere we look, and not enough is being done about it. 100 billion plastic bags are used and thrown away every year, but you can help make a change. Our sponsor, Hold On, makes trash and kitchen bags that are heavy-duty, plant-based, non-toxic, and 100% home compostable, which means they break down in weeks rather than decades. They don't fill up our landfills. They don't pollute our oceans. Their Zip Seal kitchen bags come in sandwich or gallon bag sizes to fit your needs. And the best part about Hold On bags is they work. I use them at home. They're just as good as all of the name brand bags. You fill them up, they stretch, and they don't break. Everybody uses trash bags and freezer bags. If you care about the planet, you can do something by using Hold On bags instead, and it's a really easy way to do your part. Go shop plant-based bags to replace single-use plastics all over your home. You'll save 20% when you go to holdonbags.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman. The link is down below.